Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. As I said on my earlier video for Thanksgiving, I came to see some family. Who you have with me is my beautiful little sister, Nikki. And this is going to be a little bit different kind of show. We're just kind of going to talk and come up with a few ideas and get her opinion on them. But like always, if you like what I have to say, like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you dislike it, go ahead and hit dislike and tell me what you disagree with in the comments. With that, I've known Nikki for, your entire life.
Yeah, whole thing.
I was there when you were born, even when you slept in a drawer at Yellowstone. So, what are we going to talk about first? All right, here we go. So, a lot of people, I've hinted at in a couple of my videos, especially about my background, that I got into trouble when I was a kid. And one of the things that came up in one of our conversations was the actions that you take in your life and the effect they have on others that you really don't think through when it happens. And one of those was that she brought up when she was in 5th grade and I was in juvenile for doing stupid shit. For her, the day I was coming home was like Christmas. Mm-hmm. Now, looking back at 48 years old, is the way teachers and people would have looked at a 10-year-old girl talking about her brother getting out of kiddie jail, which to her was the most exciting thing in the world. And for me, unfortunately, it wasn't the first time, so it was just getting out at that point. Mm-hmm. Now, I would like to say for the record, that was the last time I was in juvenile and went into the Army shortly after that. But what do you think about that now, looking back?
I think that it's crazy that I was really excited. I ran around telling all of my friends that my brother was getting out of juvie and had to explain it was kiddie jail because most of my friends didn't know what that was. At the time, it seemed very normal, which may be a reflection on a lot of things. But it seemed very normal. Now I can't even imagine. I can't imagine my kids having to say something like that or having to explain something like that to my kids. Thank you. And so I just think, like I told you then, you were a really smart guy that did a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah.
And so
that sums it up. And it didn't stop for a lot of years after that. I made better career choices and didn't get arrested, but making bad decisions is not something that was isolated to me being a kid.
I think it was just one of those things because I idolized you, that it was cool that you were getting out. It wasn't cool that you were there.
Yeah.
But it was cool that you were getting out, and that's all I thought about at the time, and now I can't, no offense, but I don't know how I idolize somebody who's...
I don't blame you.
Whose choices continually let them go down that path and be in juvie multiple times. But I felt the same way on visitation day. Going to see you in juvie was a big deal to me. I was so excited all week long because I was going to get to see my big brother.
And I would like to say, for the record, looking back, even with her idolizing me and seeing me go through that, I think the biggest takeaway, and we talked about this today, was what not to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of choices not to make because I made them and made them as mistakes, which I think is awesome.
You were a great influence on me, maybe not in the traditional sense, but it certainly geared...
I showed you exactly what not to do.
Yeah, it gave me a path not to go on, and then it made it really easy to make life decisions.
Now, and I'd like to say something else when we're going into this, because we're talking and we honestly have not really seen each other since your wedding.
Yeah.
And that was over 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's almost 23 years ago was my wedding.
And we've talked every once in a while, and there's Facebook, and because of my choices, which were not always the best, I met my niece and my nephew for the first time. In fact, they referred to me as the imaginary brother.
And they're 21 and 16.
So, and I really enjoyed it. They're both really smart, and her daughter reminds me a lot of Nikki. a lot, in a lot of good ways. Really funny. And all of us had a desire for family, and my personal choices were not always the best, which is a huge change in my life over the last couple of years that I've come to. But now, we had a great time. We had a belated Thanksgiving and talked and got to see Craig, who I haven't seen in a long time. But the choices you make affect other people in a positive or negative manner, and always try to think that through before you make these choices. even if you don't realize it until 30 years later, how bad that choice was or those choices.
But it's also never too late.
No, it's not.
It's never too late.
And I would say I came down to see my mom, my dad, my sister, my cousin, my niece, my nephew, and I had a great time. It really was good. And moving forward, we'll see each other more, and this will not be the last video she and I do together. So what I would also like to say on this is, when I offer my opinion, as you know, I'm retired military. Well, just to clarify and for process of understanding, when we offer opinions about stuff, her former husband was a Marine and a great guy. I've known him since he was in high school. So some of the opinions will be similar, but other ones will be quite different. And this came up when we talked about Edward Snowden. Because I'll go ahead and say it, I'll throw it out in here, and I'm going to do a longer form video on it later. But, you know, Michael Flynn got pardoned, and I'm 100% for that. As a friend of the Flynn family, I know his younger brother much better than him and have served with him a few times over a span of 15 years. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I feel that if Trump is going to start giving out pardons because of what may happen with the election, then it's time for us to accept that Edward Snowden and Julian Assange also deserve pardons.
And I
Your
disagree.
opinion.
I absolutely disagree with that.
Can you clarify?
I understand, so I don't know how much you want to get into why you feel that way, but I feel your point of view, and I understand it, and I respect it.
We've actually had a discussion about this,
Yes.
so.
But I don't feel like we should pardon someone who essentially committed treason simply because we were being lied to as the American people. While I agree we're being lied to as the American people, I think that happens more often than we'd like to realize. I also don't think that whistleblower status deserves a pardon when it comes to treason. I think that whistleblower and treason are two different things.
Okay, thank you for clarifying, because I was about to
Yes.
hit you up on that
No,
one.
I think that those are two different things, and I think that Snowden crossed that line. I think that that was a different line. I think that Assange is really a different. It's really a different subject.
Well, and he's
to me.
also not a U.S. citizen.
Right. He's a different subject because I think his motives were much different than Snowden's.
Yes.
I think that Snowden's motives were probably very honorable, and I respect that. But I think that there was a very big difference between being a whistleblower and breaking laws going into the route of treason. And I don't think that you pardon treason.
Well, by the same token, Chelsea Manning has been, her sentence was commuted.
Right.
And she was set free.
Which I don't agree with
So
either.
exactly, but so to me, then the precedent's been set. Then why should Snowden be punished any farther than she was? Because he has been removed from his family and everybody he cares about. Mm-hmm. He can't come back to his country. He can't leave where he's at, or he'll be arrested. Mm-hmm. So at what point does he pay enough for that?
I don't think we've hit that yet, so I don't know.
Or does he
at what
actually
point
need to
pays
come
that.
back and be tried and be sentenced?
I would be happy if he came back and he was tried and sentenced, and we let the justice system do what the justice system does.
Okay.
And so, and I don't, Manning is, again, two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not comfortable saying because this happened in this situation, it should happen here. I don't agree with it happening there either. But if he comes back here, he's tried, whatever is found in that trial. We allow the justice system to do what it does, to work. We have laws on the books for this very thing. And whatever the outcome of that is, I'll respect it because that's the way our process works.
That makes sense. But I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree on it.
Absolutely.
But I will tell you now, this is the start of something, because later on you'll see split screen with her and I where we'll talk about other stuff and we'll come up with other subjects to talk about. And for the record, I would prefer people don't agree with me when I do stuff like this because it's way more fun and way more entertaining. And like I said, for people who don't like what I say, tell me what you don't like about it in the comments, because we'll have a discussion about it. I will listen to what you have to say, because one of two things will happen. You'll either concrete me into my position of how I feel, or you'll change my mind. But either way, you'll give me something to think about. So with that being said, if you like what I have to say, like, subscribe, share, comment. If you dislike, tell me in the comments what you dislike and hit dislike. If you want to, just go in the comments and tell my sister hi. She's a much nicer person than me. Much smarter in a lot of ways. But with that, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and have a good evening.